Today, we're doing something interesting. I'm gonna be taking the 2019 NFL Draft and doing what I would have done in hindsight. But super quick, if you want to help me out, be sure to like and subscribe. We're so close to 500 subscribers, so if you want to do that, it'll make you an OG, and it takes you like 5 seconds to like, sub, turn on notifications, all that good stuff. Let's shoot for 30 likes. I think we can hit that. Help me out with that too. Let's see if we can get to 30 likes, because we've been hitting all those goals, and I'm very happy about it. And comment down below what, I almost said rebuild, I should do next. No, this is a redraft. I could do 2017 with like Patrick Mahomes, Bill Cosby. I could go 2018, no, this is 19, 2020, 2016, whichever. Just let me know. But that's enough plugging. Let's get into today's video. Hello everyone, it is Brandon the Simp here, and today we're gonna be redrafting the 2019 NFL Draft. Now this is a pretty loaded draft class. You have players like Nick Bosa, about 1 million good receivers, hell, even Max Crosby, Kyler Murray, obviously. Like, this is a pretty great draft class already. But today, we're gonna do what these teams maybe should have done, because some of them made some questionable decisions, we'll just say that. But without further ado, with the Jaguars, no, that's not the team. With the Cardinals' first pick, we're gonna take the GOAT, Gardner Minshew. No, I'm kidding. We're gonna keep Kyler Murray. I mean, that's pretty obvious. You know, the Call of Duty addict himself. He hasn't been bad in the NFL so far by any means. I mean, he's like top 10-ish. Definitely not the best player in this class, ignoring positional value, but is still a very solid QB. Also, I guess I didn't say this, but I'm gonna be drafting based off of their current rosters, not off of their rosters at the time. I feel like that's pretty important to say, because if we're going off their roster at the time, you can make the argument that, hey, they just drafted Josh Rosen, maybe they still could have developed him and saved his career. We're not going to be doing that here. I did like Josh Rosen. I just felt like he was put in a shitty situation with not great coaches and got given up on after 1 year. So I don't know. We're gonna ignore all that confusion and just go based off their current team. Now this is the boring answer, but again, we're gonna just be going Nick Bosa. I mean, that's obvious. Borderline top 5 pass rusher in the league. Was injured, I believe, all of last year, or was that the year before? I don't know. I should know that, but I don't. Absolute stud. I figured it would be an amazing pick, and it was. It has proven to be so far. I think he could finish this year as the best pass rusher in the NFL. Maybe. Up next, we have the New York Jets. Now this is the first pick where you have some questions. You could keep Quinnen Williams, which I am unfortunately not gonna do, I don't think. I'm between a few players. I'm thinking of either Chris Lindstrom, Elkton Jenkins, or either Max Crosby, or Rashawn Gary, or Jeffrey Simmons. Let's go Jeffrey Simmons. Amazing, very, very, very underrated interior defensive lineman for the Tennessee Titans. Amazing pass rusher, great run defender too. He's just kind of a step up in every regard to Quinnen Williams, and that's no disrespect to Quinnen Williams. He's very good still, but I would rather have Justin Simmons. I preferred Justin Simmons at the time. It's just, I believe he tore his ACL right before the draft or something like that, or Achilles, and it made him fall to like the end of the first, second. I can't remember where he was taken by the Titans, but yeah, he's a beast, and those injury problems haven't really come back up, so we're gonna be going Justin Simmons. With the Buccaneers pick, I'm gonna do my first really weird pick of the draft. We're gonna give them Jamel Dean. The reason being is if they don't take him here, their cornerback room is D. Delaney and Carlton Davis, and that's it. I know it's kind of weird to take Jamel Dean top 5, because I wouldn't necessarily say he's worth that, but you know, you see Sean Murphy-Bunting here, they wouldn't have him yet, and he would probably get taken before the time they have a next pick. But they got all their like starting corners, or at least 2 of their starting corners from this draft, and without them, they got nothing. For the New York Giants, I think I'm gonna go, let's go Rashawn Gary with their first round pick. Obviously, adding him with Kayvon Thibodeau would be insane. Daniel Jones obviously was a weird pick at the time, doesn't make any more sense now. Daniel Jones hasn't been awful necessarily. He's just been worse Kirk Cousins, I guess I would say. Like, Kirk Cousins is already mid as is, and I don't know. Daniel Jones has not worked out super well. I feel like he's a little overhated even, but still, I'm not taking him. Tyrod Taylor can have the keys to the Giants if he wants. I'm giving him Rashawn Gary. For the Jaguars, this is just gonna be another one of those you kinda have to protect the player you pick situations. So we're gonna go Josh Allen here. Has really developed in the past few years. Obviously had that big game against the other Josh Allen. Yeah, without him, you have, I guess Trayvon Walker's looked decent so far, but I don't think you necessarily trust him on his own. And then I guess you have Kayvon Chason. Yeah, they should just keep Josh Allen. I expect him to keep developing. I think someday he'll be like one of the better pass rushers in the league. There's no real reason for me to change that one. Now with this Lions pick, I am actually gonna make a change here. Let's give them Deebo Samuel. I think Dan Campbell would have some fun with that for sure. Add another huge weapon for Jared Goff, I guess. But he would be really nice paired alongside DJ Chark, who I think is very underrated. Obviously, Among Us St. Brown. That would be a great duo. And then obviously you also have Jameson Williams, so that will be a scary receiver group. And I just don't think TJ Hawkinson has necessarily been good enough to justify drafting him in the top 10. So I'm not going to do that here. We're going to give them Deebo Samuel. Kind of just BPA, because this team kind of needs some good players. I think they're well coached, but their roster's a little For the Bills, they kind of have like no real needs other than one, in my opinion, and that is kind of the right side of their offensive line. So to help with that, I'm going to give them Elkton Jenkins. The beautiful thing about him is you can kind of play him literally wherever. Center, guard, tackle. He's played it before and he's played well. I think his best position is tackle, which is probably where they would want to play him. I think that would just be a huge addition to their team, and it's going to allow Josh Allen to have even more time, be even better. It's just a win-win pick. With this pick, they ended up taking Ed Oliver, but I like their defensive tackle depth. Obviously, they have Jordan Phillips, Tim Settle, who I like, Daquan Jones. I just feel like you're fine there without Ed Oliver. Another thing is you're not going to have Dawson Knox. You could go tight end here, but again, I don't like drafting tight end in the top 10. You can find another option at tight end somewhere. I just think a great offensive lineman is too good to pass up over what you would probably go in TJ Hawkinson here, or maybe Ed Oliver. For Pittsburgh, I'm actually gonna go with maybe another controversial pick. That is, if I can find it. Oh, there he is. Deontay Johnson. I'm gonna go with him in the first round. Now, there are better receivers available, but I feel like Deontay Johnson could end up being the best out of that group. Plus, he's already there in Pittsburgh, so you might as well take him. His routes are absolutely insane. He is one of the most fun players to watch in the NFL. If you haven't, just go watch some highlights of him. He's crazy. Or film if you want to like see every play, but like even the highlights are amazing. The only thing with him is drops, but those are fixable. I mean, we've seen players like Devontae Adams fix those, become the best receiver in the NFL. I think Deontay Johnson very well could be next up. Of course, you know, they got to get a good quarterback, which they might already have on the roster, but we'll see. For the Bengals, I mean, this one's pretty obvious what position we're gonna go with. We'll just redraft Jonah Williams. He's not the best tackle in the world. I thought he would be amazing coming out of Alabama. Obviously not the best franchise in the world historically. Sure, they were in the Super Bowl last year, but I mean, they had like the longest playoff drought of any team, or for a playoff win, I mean. The rest of their offensive line has been horrible, so it's kind of stunted his growth a little bit, but we're just gonna redraft him, because if you don't take him, you literally have no tackles. I mean, I guess you have La'el Collins, but he looks shaky so far this year, so I'm gonna go Jonah Williams. Someone named Deshaun W just subscribed to me. Deshaun Watson, AO, don't touch me, bro. The Green Bay Packers got absolutely screwed from this redraft, losing Elkton Jenkins already. They're probably gonna lose Darnell Savage. They lost Rashawn Gary, obviously, so it's tough for them. But I'm not even gonna go with one of those positions. Let's give them DK Metcalf. Could you imagine Aaron Aaron Rodgers throwing to DK Metcalf at 6'5", running a 4.3 40. That would be unfair. So DK is gonna be their new #1 receiver. Pains me as a Seahawks fan to say, you know what I mean? But that would just be ridiculous. Aaron Rodgers, that could be like a new Calvin Johnson type of player. For the Dolphins, I might go with something, again, kind of controversial. I'm gonna give them Quinnen Williams. Obviously, they drafted Christian Wilkins, who is a decent player for sure, but I feel like if they took Quinnen Williams, if he came here, I should say, the Dolphins have had a little bit better of a surrounding core right there than the Jets. I mean, that's not saying much because it's comparing them to the Jets, but still. I feel like you would have developed a little better from the surrounding core, you know, with Brian Flores as the head coach for a while there, which I still think he should be, but whatever. I think Cameron Wake would have been there for maybe 1 year, or was he retired by that point, or on the Titans? I don't know, but if he was, he could have helped him develop his pass rush a little bit. I think it would have worked out better for him being there. Not that he's a bad player at all, but I'm just saying he would have been definitely even better going to Miami. With the Falcons, I mean, we're just gonna give him Chris Lindstrom. He's such an underrated guard. If they didn't take him, they would have Jake Matthews on the offensive line, and that's like it. So they desperately need him. I didn't even really check what else they could have gone with. I guess I could have gone with a really good receiver, but I mean, if they don't have any offensive line, their quarterback isn't going to be able to utilize the receivers anyways. Not like they have anyone to throw to the receivers either, with Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder. Not that they're terrible, but like, they're not the best either yet, so I don't know. I think that's the right pick. With the Commanders, I mean, this one's fairly obvious, right? We all know where I'm going here. We're gonna go Kelvin Harmon. No. Although I did like Kelvin Harmon coming out, and Riley Ridley, which sounds like a porn. Every time I hear Riley Ridley, I just think Riley Reed. Same with Riley Reef. Whenever I hear one of those two names, just something about the Riley R-I combination just makes me think Riley Reed. I don't know. We're going Terry McLaurin. I almost took Riley Ridley because I was talking about him. But yeah, Terry McLaurin, obviously one of the better receivers in the league. Borderline top 10-ish. Not quite there, but you know, he's about right there. Unfortunately has Carson Wentz throwing him the ball this year, but I guess it's an upgrade from Taylor Heineke, so can't complain too much. For the Panthers, we're just gonna give them Brian Burns once again. We're kind of on a streak of just giving them their players back. I mean, it's kind of a compliment to the team. Like, this is kind of the best pick you could have made. I mean, not necessarily, because there were players behind these picks that ended up getting taken before these picks here that they could have taken, but still. We're just gonna give them Brian Burns back. I think he's a little overrated, I'm not gonna lie. I think he will be a stud someday. It's just kind of another one of those situations like the Jaguars where if you don't take him, you have nothing. So we're gonna give Brian Burns back to them. That's a lot of B's in that sentence. And I'm pretty happy with that one. For the Giants, they kind of need some help on their roster. So we're just gonna go best player available. I'm going to give them AJ Brown. I almost missed him. Now their receiving core is kind of stacked, but it's stacked with like mid players. They don't have anyone amazing. And clearly AJ Brown obviously would be the immediate #1. And I don't think the trio of either him, Kenny Golladay, and Sterling Shepard would be too bad. You also have obviously Kadarius Toney, Darius Slayton. Like, they're gonna have a ton of receivers if they do this, but I think it's the right choice. For the Vikings, I'm gonna go with a position they actually drafted, but with a different player. We're gonna go Eric McCoy. He's definitely been slightly better than Garrett Bradbury so far, plus Garrett Bradbury's been injured. I also could have gone TJ Hawkinson here, but again, I didn't really wanna. Now the Titans, they're kinda in for it here. They had quite the draft. In the first round, they picked obviously Jeffrey Simmons. I talked about that earlier. I thought it was even a bit later of a pick, but it was about mid-first round. Obviously AJ Brown, like we talked about. Nate Davis, I forgot he was in this class. He's one of their better linemen, obviously. Amani Hooker, a great underrated safety, and even David Long, a solid linebacker. So yeah, they're kind of out of luck here. I guess here I'm gonna go Ed Oliver. You're just kind of hoping that he could develop more here, just given a different circumstance. You need someone on the defensive line. You have, I think, DeAndre Walker and Tier Tart, and that's it. If you lose, of course, Jeffrey Simmons, which they do here. Now, obviously, they already don't have A.J. Brown, so it's not like they're losing anything at this point. But I guess if they didn't draft A.J. Brown, they wouldn't even have Treylon Burks, so I guess you do lose that. You're also losing Nate Davis, so you're losing a guard, you're losing a safety. It's tough for them in this world, but I guess Ed Oliver, I guess he'll recoup a little bit. One of the 4 losses, but not even the full loss, so that sucks. The Broncos actually aren't gonna lose a lot. They're gonna lose Noah Fant, Dalton Risner, Drew Lock, Draymond Jones. Like, you're fine. You already don't have Noah Fant and Drew Lock. Dalton Risner's been fine. I thought he would be much better than he has been, but he's been fine. Same with Draymond Jones. So what do we want to do here? You know what? Let's give them Christian Wilkins. We're kind of having a run on defensive linemen, but they all make sense for this team. Obviously, you're losing Draymond Jones, I guess, but you're replacing him with a better player. So this is an improvement so far for the Broncos. They could also take like a tight end later, take a lineman later when they make more sense to draft. At this point, they would be a pretty big reach. So I think Christian Wilkins is a good move here. The Packers are back on the clock. We went with DK with the first pick, obviously. Let's go Montez Sweat. Just kind of best player available, obviously. I think he had the record for edge 40 time or something like that. He ran like a 4.41 or something ridiculous like that. He's a really good player. Well, I wouldn't say really, really good, but he's a good player for sure. Obviously no Rashawn Gary in this world, but you're not getting a bad replacement by any means. For the Eagles, you're kind of losing 2 players here that are big, or I guess 3 technically, but 2 of the 3 they didn't even draft. They would be losing AJ Brown, and the other one I'm gonna draft right here, and that's gonna be Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I was a huge fan of him going into the draft. He fell to like the 4th round or something stupid like that, but he's going towards the end of the 1st, which is where I thought he should have gone. The Eagles are getting him. Now, obviously, you no longer have AJ Brown. I was thinking of going with Hollywood Brown, but that would be kind of redundant with Quez Watkins on their roster. I mean, he would be an upgrade over him, but I would rather go Chauncey Gardner-Johnson because without him, they have Marcus Epps and Kayvon Wallace. I don't know how I feel about that as the starting 2 safeties. Also, Nazir Adderley, I forgot about him. I wasn't the biggest fan of him, to be honest. I think, was it Bengal? I think Bengal or somebody was like a huge fan of him. I was like, eh. I still think he could work out for the Chargers. I think he will, in fact. I wasn't a huge fan of him coming out, though. He was fine. The good thing for the Texans is they're not losing anything from this draft class. I mean, the best player they're losing is going to be Titus Howard, who's very much a replacement level tackle, and that's about it. They already don't have Lonnie Johnson or Charles Omenihu. They don't have most of those. Do they have any of those players except Titus Howard? They might still have Max Sharping, but that's like it. So everything for them at this point is kind of house money. Let's give them Hunter Renfrow, actually. Kind of just best player available. You kind of just do that when you're the Texans. I kind of forgot he was in this class, so that's a huge upgrade at receiver. I'm a big fan of that pick. I actually think he would be really good there for some reason. I don't know why, I just do. For the Raiders' second first-round pick, I'm between 2 players. Either Dalton Risner, because that offensive line is shaky, but I think I'm gonna go with Marquise Brown. Obviously, in this world, they lose Hunter Renfrow, just the pick before, so we're gonna give them Marquise Brown to give them a very good deep threat. Also, if you've made it to this point of the video, you know you're a real one, especially if your team is at the very end here. I'm terribly sorry you have to wait until the end, but hey, at least you get to listen to my sexy voice. I don't know. But yeah, if you've made it all the way here, be sure to like, sub, all that stuff. Let me know what team to do, or what draft to redraft next. But with this Ravens pick, I am finally gonna go Devin White. Now, a lot of people love Devin White. I think he is absolutely horrible in coverage. He's a very good run defender and he can blitz really well, but I don't care. I want a linebacker that can cover However, the reason he works so well for the Buccaneers is because they have Lavonte David, who just takes away all the, I guess, lack of coverage ability from Devin White. Like, he can cover, so it makes Devin White not look so bad, and Devin White can kind of just be the extra piece there. I feel like once Lavonte David either retires or leaves, unless Devin White develops a ton, he's gonna really fall off. Again, he could develop a ton, but I'm just not the biggest fan. The Commanders are funny because you can go a few different ways here. I don't know what I'm gonna do, because obviously we added Terry McLaurin back on the roster. They already lost Montez Sweat, so you can maybe go Chase Winovich. I mean, there isn't really a good pass rusher left here. Cleveland Ferrell, I guess Anthony Nelson. I really loved Ja'Kai Polite coming out, just immature. I like Jalen Jelks, to be honest. I was surprised he didn't work out. You could go Malik Reed, I guess. He's not bad. I don't know if any of those players are necessarily worth a first-round pick, though. Let's give them Dre Greenlaw, actually. Very good linebacker for the 49ers. I could have gone Cole Holcomb, but I guess I like Dre Greenlaw a little more. Just an absolute stud. I feel like that's a really good pick for the Commies. I'm gonna give the Raiders Josh Jacobs. I mean, that's a pretty obvious one too. I kind of forgot he was in this draft. For some reason, when I was going down the list of what players would be here, I just missed him. I don't know why. He was literally at the top. Not that I probably would have taken him any earlier than this, but I do think he is a very underrated running back, and this is a very good pick in my opinion. I didn't even hate this pick at the time. A lot of people hated on it. I don't think drafting a running back in the first round is the worst thing ever, as long as you have an already built roster and it's kind of the last piece you need, and as long as it's for sure a very good running back. Like the Chiefs taking Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round, I didn't love that because I didn't think he was like elite, like super amazing. I thought Josh Jacobs was justifiable to take in the first round. For the Chargers, I'm finally gonna go with TJ Hawkinson. I know it's kind of a slip for him, but it's just kind of the deal where there isn't really a team that would benefit a whole ton from drafting him. I don't think he's a bad tight end at all. Clearly, there hasn't been a team that had a big enough hole at tight end and didn't need another position more that had another very good player at that position. So if you want to take him higher, for sure. I just think that's the best spot for him. For the Seattle Seahawks, there are a few players I might go with. Now, this is my favorite team, obviously, so I don't know what I want to do. What do I want to do? I could give them Daniel Jones, but I could do that. Should I do that? I'm not gonna do that. I might. We'll see. I could also go tight end, although I do like Will Dissly and Colby Parkinson, so I don't know if they necessarily need to add Noah Fant over another position. I'm gonna go Jacoby Myers. Kind of a weird pick, but obviously they're losing DK, and without him, they have Tyler Lockett and not much else. I mean, I like Marquise Goodwin, but you don't have like a proven receiver here. Jacoby Myers has been good for the Patriots. Not super fast, but a decent slot receiver. I didn't realize how good of a draft I have given the Giants so far. Rashawn Gary and AJ Brown, that's pretty decent. You know, since it worked out this way, I'm just gonna give them Daniel Jones. I didn't even really plan for that, but I mean, if he's here, you might as well take him. He's been an okay starting quarterback. He hasn't necessarily been the worst. I guess he's been closer to the bottom, but not the absolute worst. If he's sitting there staring you in the face, you might as well take him. Still could work out, has just been below average so far. For the Falcons, I'm just gonna go best player available. I'm gonna give them, where do they have him ranked? Wait, oh, there he is, Amani Hooker. Very underrated safety from the Titans. Now he definitely does benefit a little bit from having the best safety in the NFL next to him in Kevin Byard. But either way, if you're taking current day player, Amani Hooker is definitely the pick here. You could say maybe there's a bigger need, but safety is a pretty big need for them. You could go corner. You could go really anything and consider it fine, because their roster is not good. For the Patriots, I'm gonna give them... Ooh, I was such a Greedy Williams fan going into the draft, but I'm gonna give them Byron Murphy to round out this draft. They obviously need corner help after losing J.C. Jackson. Byron Murphy would be an immediate upgrade to what they have on the roster. I think he would be a great fit there. But be sure to let me know what you would have done differently too. Be respectful. You don't have to be out of pocket or anything, just let me know what you would have done differently. I mean, even looking back at this, there are maybe some things I would have done differently, like taking TJ Hawkinson higher, taking some of the receivers higher, but just looking through their rosters just off the top of my head, just kind of freestyling it, you know. But of course, that is the end of today's video. Again, be sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Let's see if we can get to 500 subscribers. We're very close, and it'll make you an OG. And be sure to like it, because that helps me out a ton. Same thing with notifications, and let me know what draft to do next. Could be 2017 with Mahomes, 18, 20, 16, whichever one. Even 21, even though that is early. But of course, that is the end of today's video, and I will see you guys again in the next video. Goodbye.